Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Dani and this is my YouTube channel. If you're returning, so lovely to see you again. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about 3 handbag games I've been loving recently. More on those to follow in a bit, but if this sounds like the kind of thing that would interest you, please keep watching. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you don't already subscribe to me, go and hit that subscribe button because it will really support the growth of my channel. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So what I mean by handbag games is games that are small enough that they're easy to throw in your bag. One of my favourite things to do when we get to this time of year where like the nights are drawing in, it's cold, it's like sort of like cozy winter jumper vibes for me, like an absolute vibe. And what I like to do with my sort of free time outside work is I love just going to the pub, getting a nice big glass of red wine or a bottle and like being with friends and just playing games. That to me is like the definition of like just elite living. So whenever I find a game that's small, because you know, like if you've watched my videos before, you know that I absolutely love board games. But this means that when I find a game that's like small enough for me to fit in my bag and it's fun, I like go mad for it. So hopefully this will give you some inspiration if that's your kind of thing as well, on games that you can like just chuck in your bag and enjoy when you're out and about in the pub. It doesn't have to be the pub, it could be anywhere. But yeah, that's sort of the occasion in which I would tend to play these games. I also like always have a deck of cards in my bag as well, and there are so many great card games you can play as well. I've actually got a video on how to play a game called Shithead, which is really fun and really good for like pub vibes as well. If you've got just like a regular deck of cards, I'll put a link for it up here now so you can watch that video. But yeah, let's get into this. So I am going to kick off. I'm going to kick off with Bananagrams. So Bananagrams is basically, this is what it looks like. This is how it comes. So really easy to chuck in your bag. It just sort of sits at the bottom, but you open it and it's just basically a load of tiles, as you can see, with all different letters on them. So it's kind of like gives you a bit of Scrabble vibes because yeah, it's literally just tiled letters and that's all that's in there. So the aim of Bananagrams is to be the first person to essentially use up all your letters on your board and shout Bananagrams. If you manage to do that before all your opponents, you win. The way you do this is you basically take all of the letter tiles out of the banana, you place them face down, and then dependent on the number of people are playing, you take a like starting number of tiles. So for example, if you're playing with 2 to 4 people, you start with 21 tiles, and that sort of like just goes up in numbers depending on how many people there are. And also the like where you have all the tiles face down is called the bunch. So to start the game, any player shouts split, and basically everyone turns over their tiles and you're kind of working in silo here. Like it's not the most social game, but you like turn all your tiles over and you have to essentially like create words with your tiles, but almost as if you're creating like a Scrabble board without the board, or like you're doing your own little personal crossword. So you have to like create a word and then you have to use like a word within that word to create another word, if that makes sense. And you just basically keep building on the board. Obviously they have to be actual words that you build. When someone manages to use all their letters in their mini board, they shout pill. And once someone shouts pill, every player, doesn't matter where you are, how many of your tiles you've used, has to take an additional letter from the bunch. And then you have to build that onto your board. That means the player who has just managed to do their board and has shouted pill, they pick up a letter that's easy for them to place in their current board, then they can do it and shout pill again. People will again have to take another letter, or it might be that they get a really awkward letter and it means that they have to like recreate their whole board into new words. If you're playing the game and you have a letter that you really can't get rid of and you're struggling, at any point in the game you can shout dump and you put that tile back, but you have to take 3 more in its place. The game ends when basically there are fewer tiles in the bunch than there are actual people playing. When this happens, when a player manages to use all of their tiles and shouts Bananagrams, they win. Everyone else can then sort of inspect their words, make sure they're actually real words, and yeah, that's it. It's really simple but really fun, and like I absolutely love it. If you're like a real word lover and you enjoy games like Scrabble, this is the one for you. Next game I'm going to talk about is Dobble. Dobble was actually gifted to me by a company called Unbox Now UK ages ago. They are like, well, on Instagram they call themselves the official UK home for Dobble, Ticket to Ride, Catan, Bananagrams as well. The stock game, which I've never played, Brainbox, which I've never played, and more. So they gifted me Dobble after one of my previous videos, so thank you so much for this. And sorry it's taken me so long to actually like play it and do a video in it, but oh my god, this is such a good game. So it comes in a little tin like this, so again, very easy to travel with. And all it is you have the little like instruction book here, a little instruction book here, and then it's just a load of cards with all different shapes, animals, different sizes. The thing with Dobble is that it's actually like multiple games in one. So if you look at the like little instruction book, it has 5 games in here, but the game I'm going to be talking about specifically, which is the one I play the most, is game 2, which is called The Well. So essentially what you do when you play The Well is you can play this with 2+ people, and you deal out all of the Dobble cards between everyone who's playing, and then you placed one card in the middle, face down. That is the card that's called The Well. That is the start of The Well. Then I guess you like sort of count down to 3, 1, 2, 3, you turn over the well and everyone sort of turns over their pile of cards, so they're facing downwards, upwards, so they're facing upwards and they can see. And it's basically a game of speed. You need to be the first person to find a symbol on your card that matches the top face-up card of the well, say it out loud and place it. So for example, if the card in the well had a 4-leaf clover and the card you have face up has a 4-leaf clover, you would shout 4-leaf clover and place it. It is really as simple as that. Like there's no more to explain about the game than that. It doesn't sound amazing, but I can't tell you how tense it gets. Like I've had it before where I've been playing with like several friends, like 5 of us all piled down, and you're literally like looking down at the well, like it's so hard to see like the matching symbols, but it gets really intense. Like everyone's shouting, like you're racing to get there. Like you could try and put a card in at the same time as someone else, and everyone just ends up screaming at each other. But it was really good fun. Like I think if you're playing it in the pub, the table next to you probably wouldn't be best pleased, but who cares about that? The thing that like people sometimes forget with Dobble is that like every single card, so every single card here, match it, like every card will have a symbol to match, and sometimes it is so difficult to see. So it's like a really clever game, and like you'll be like, oh, my card didn't have a matching symbol. It always does. But yeah, that is it. Really fun, really simple. It's literally like essentially a deck of cards, and that's it. That is Dobble. Well, that is how you play the well when you're playing Dobble. There are 4 other games you can learn as well. The final game I'm going to talk about, and probably my most favourite out of the ones that I have gone through today, is Monopoly Deal. If you haven't played Monopoly Deal yet, like 1, have you been living under a rock? And 2, go and get it immediately because it's the best game. As you can see, my pack of Monopoly Deal is very well loved. It is completely ruined. I like actually need to get a new well, I don't really need, like the cards are fine, I just need a new box for it. I mean, I'm keeping it in a sandwich bag at the moment, so like when I'm in the pub, I'm like, let me just get my sandwich bag of Monopoly Deal out. Because I'm really cool like that, but you know, don't want rogue Monopoly Deal cards floating around in my sandwich bag. So if you haven't seen my top 10 board games video, which I'll link over here now, Monopoly is my favourite board game, but it is not realistic to bring a whole Monopoly board into a pub, and it's also really hard to like try and get people to play Monopoly with you because it's such a long game. Monopoly Deal alleviates all of that because you have the essence of Monopoly in card form, which is easy to transport out and about with you, and the games are quick. So again, with Monopoly Deal, you can play this with 2+ people. The box actually says it's for 2 to 5 players. I mean, I reckon you could get away with squeezing in a 6th or 7th player, but I guess see how you go, give it a try. So the aim of Monopoly Deal is that you have to be the first person to have 3 complete property sets of different colours. As soon as you manage to do that, you have won the game. There are variations of the game to make it slightly more challenging, or slightly more interesting even. I quite like playing an additional rule where, as well as the 3 complete property sets, you also have to have 20 million in your bank. It just kind of adds another edge to the game. But you do you, play however you want. I know I'm like usually a rule-abiding citizen, but I'm happy to like throw in variations like that if it makes the game better. So the way that gameplay goes in this, you start off by dealing every single player 5 cards each. There are 3 kinds of cards you can get in Monopoly Deal. Those are property cards, so that's just like adding a property to your collection. And then there are money cards. With money cards, you just add money to your bank. And then there are also action cards. So with action cards, there are 2 ways you can play these. You can either sort of, obviously you'll create like a burn pile like you would do with any card game. You either play the action card in the burn pile and you do the action that it says on the card, or you can ignore the action on the card altogether and treat it as money and then play it in your bank. If you put an action card into your bank as money, like it can never convert back to an action card again. It's just money for the rest of the game. So the way that gameplay goes with Monopoly Deal is when it's your turn, you draw 2 cards from the pile of cards that's left over, and then you can play up to 3. So it's up to 3. You can draw your 2 cards and play 0 if you want to, or you can play all 3. It's totally up to you. But it's worth bearing in mind that if at the end of your go you have over 7 cards, you have to burn until you get down to 7. So you can't just like keep collecting cards and keep collecting cards. You need to like make sure that you never have more than 7. Another thing bearing in mind is that while you're holding cards in your hand, they're not in play, they're not part of your game. So if someone draws an action card on you which requires you to give them money, you can't give them money out of the cards in your hand. They have to be played. It has to either be from your bank or from your collection of properties. So gameplay will just keep going on like this. A few other rules that are worth bearing in mind whilst playing Monopoly Deal is there is no change given. So say the only money you had in your bank was a £10 million card. I call it million, I don't know if it's million, Monopoly money, whatever. But say you've only got a £10 million piece of money in your bank and you've got nothing else laid out, and someone requires you to give them 1 million, you have to hand over the whole 10 and they can't give you change. You can choose whether you pay with properties. If you decide to pay a debt in properties, you just hand the property over to your opponent and then they add that to their property collection. They wouldn't convert it into money. It would just be a property that then belongs to them. So yeah, you can do just property, just money from your bank, or you can do a combination of the 2. And there are also wild properties throughout the game. So there are like wild properties that are a different property, that one side is one property and one side is another property, and then there are also wild properties in which the whole card is just wild. You can change these, you can change the colour of these at any time during your go. Like you don't have to pay anything, you don't have to do anything, like you literally just say, I'm changing this brown into a blue, and you turn it over and you change it. So yeah, like I said, first person to 3 property sets wins. Something else worth clarifying is like, you don't have to pay to play a property like you would in normal Monopoly. Like you literally just say, if you've got a property in your hand and you want to play it, you just say, I'm playing the Strand and adding it to my collection, and that's it. It is then in play. But yeah, it's a really fun game. Like it gets really tense. Like you could think you're winning and then all of a sudden like you've had to pay someone loads of money and you lose everything and you've got to start again. And yeah, always just really enjoy it. Like me and my friends end up playing games and games and games of Monopoly Deal over and over again. And yeah, I just absolutely adore it. And it is, until the box starts breaking, ideal to carry in your bag. If you've got a sandwich bag, I just hit myself in the face. That is the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this gave you some inspiration if you're like a big games lover like me. Games you can carry in your bag with you to play while you're out and about in a pub, or otherwise, you know, anywhere that you tend to be out and about and wanting to play games. If you have any games that you tend to carry in your bag with you that I haven't mentioned, like please let me know what they are in the comments below, like genuinely, because I love my games and I'm always up for like learning new ones. So yeah, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you don't subscribe to me, because it will really support the growth of my channel. But I'll see you next time. Bye.
Kinetics.